Some WestJet passengers say they felt abandoned in Cancun, Mexico, after their return flight back to Ottawa was canceled this past weekend. Passengers say they were forced to spend the night in the city with little or no help from the airline. Chris Spiteri was one of those passengers. He is also a lawyer who's considering launching a class action lawsuit against WestJet on behalf of the passengers, and he joins us now from Ottawa. So, Chris, after your flight back to Ottawa was canceled, take us through what happened to you and the other passengers.
Well, we learned that the flight was canceled, and we were put in a holding room at the airport in Cancun, where we spent another couple of hours. So now we were pushing 6 hours since the time that we had left. We were in the holding room. There was no WestJet representative there speaking to the group or to the individuals. Anything that we were hearing at that point was just sporadic, and it was from what certain passengers had heard. And ultimately, after 2 hours, we were told that we were going to be taken by bus to a Marriott courtyard by WestJet. And so we lined up and we grabbed our luggage, and then we had to pick up our luggage from the luggage check, and we went through customs again, and we went onto the parking lot, which was mayhem. Nobody knew where they were going. There were no WestJet reps. Eventually, everyone made it down to a kind of area. Once we got through all the people, it really was mayhem. And we got on a bus, and we started moving, and after about 20 minutes, we passed a Marriott, and we kept going, and it became bizarre now. By the way, this is now around 8:30. It pulled off the main street.
So how many hours later is this?
So this is because the flight was supposed to leave at 12:15. Right. So everyone was in the airport by 11:30, 11 o'clock. Yeah. And then we pulled in the side road, and we went down this little side road and then turned into a parking lot at a small red building hotel type thing. And we were told to get off the bus. There was no WestJet rep on the bus with us, and so we got off the bus, and we were at the back of the bus. So when we got off, by that time there'd already been a group that had formed at the front doors of this building, and some people were actually coming out. They'd already gone in and looked at the rooms, and they were very upset. They said, "We're not staying here. This place is awful, and they don't even know that we're here. They don't have enough rooms for us." You can imagine then there was some consternation amongst everyone out there. Everyone became quite upset. One of the little kids was throwing up, quite upset. There was another one crying. People were trying to call WestJet. Of course, now it's 8:30 on a Saturday night. People couldn't get through. Some could. There was a woman then who was speaking Spanish to some WestJet representative, and so she said, "Look," she said, "they're going to be sending a bus for us, and they're going to take us to the Marriott." At this point, the bus that had taken us there was trying to get out of the parking lot. They were doing a 10-point turn. It was this dark, small parking lot. And we weren't letting him out. We had our luggage in front of him because we thought this might be our only avenue out of there. In any case, once we were told this by this woman, we let the bus go, and we waited a few minutes, and then we decided we better get to the street. This was bizarre. We were in this dark parking lot. Nobody knew where exactly we were. So we walked towards the street, and we kind of formed there in the street in the light. And someone in the group then said that they called the Marriott, and the Marriott said they have no idea what we're talking about. There are no rooms there for us. So then someone else, I suppose, got in touch with WestJet, and this person in the group, one of the passengers, said, "I'm speaking to WestJet. They just told us that we're on our own to find rooms and that they'll reimburse us up to $200.
Okay.
So that's really on their own, for sure. We were lucky. We found rooms at the Sheraton, and two families approached us for help, and we helped them get rooms as well. And we called a taxi. It was probably one of the most bizarre experiences I've seen. There were people there who were frightened. There were people who were visibly very upset.
Now, WestJet has said, in a statement emailed to us, WestJet said that passengers were offered meal vouchers, accommodation, and transportation.
Well, I can tell you I wasn't, my family wasn't, and everyone I've spoken to wasn't. There was no presence. There was no WestJet presence there at all. The flight crew walked past us out of the airport, and that was it. After that, there was no WestJet presence that we spoke to. It seemed to come about more from passengers trying to call WestJet and get some kind of response.
Wow. Okay, so you're considering a class action lawsuit on behalf of the passengers. Tell us why.
Well, what we're doing is right now, what we're doing at the here at our firm is we're looking at all the options, and class action is one of them. It's a really interesting.
I should mention you're a lawyer. I should also mention that you're a lawyer.
I am, yeah. And so we're looking at this, and we're looking at all the options available to the passengers. And something like this, because this isn't your typical situation. This isn't just a delay sitting on the tarmac where people are upset about that, or a luggage loss. This is a situation where the carrier with whom everyone contracted was essentially abandoned its passengers. It abandoned its passengers in a foreign country, and they had to fend for themselves. So this is a bit of a unique scenario. But right now, the way it's set up, as I'm beginning to see, is that in North America here, air carriers are really protected, and it seems they know this. So under the Montreal Convention, it's called, in the Air Carriers Act, there's a lot of protection for air carriers. Even these new amendments which are being proposed don't really solve the problem. Europe, on the other hand, seems to be on the other side of things, where passengers are afforded more protection. Mm-hmm. So we're looking at this. So we're looking at all the options, and a class action is one of the options that we're looking at as well.
And just very briefly, have you spoken to WestJet? Have people been reimbursed for that $200 or whatever exactly it was for that extra night?
Well, WestJet has said to people to submit their receipts and so on, and for consideration for repayment. I understand, though I haven't been told this, that WestJet has offered $100 in WestJet dollars as compensation for what's happened here. The response from WestJet, from a legal perspective, is really disappointing, but from a corporate governance perspective, there's no ownership here. This seems to be setting a new low for dealing with a crisis by an airline. I mean, their response was almost inflammatory. They said that people were offered vouchers. They weren't. At least the ones that we've spoken to haven't been. That they had room arrangements. I haven't spoken to one of the passengers who was accommodated with a room by WestJet.
Chris, interesting story. Thank you very much for taking the time.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Chris Spiteri in Ottawa.